Hey everyone, One Big Boss here, and as you can tell from the title of the video that you clicked on, well, happy birthday Nintendo. More specifically, the NES and when it first came to America. 30 years ago today, on October 18th, we got one of the greatest systems of all time that launched franchises that are still continuing to this day. It's amazing to think, like, all these years, 30 years. Granted, it came out 2 years before I was born, but regardless, 30 years of gaming. The NES was one of the founding systems. Like, after that whole, Atari crash thing and stuff like that, NES comes out of nowhere and takes the market by storm. Okay, I think it was 60 million units sold or something like that at one point. It's mind-blowing. Just how great this system was in terms of how it looked, how it played, and how much fun it retained. Granted, you go back and you try to play a lot of those games now when you've been playing, PS4 and PS3 games and everything like that, you find, how did we ever have fun with it? But it was that time, it was that era of gaming where things, we hadn't seen stuff like this before. Games were more interactive than they ever have been. This was nothing like the Atari could ever put out. This was nothing like anything else. This was the system. I mean, it gave way to games like Donkey Kong, Mario, Legend of Zelda, all these amazing franchises that are out there. Most of them started on here. Granted, the NES, when it came to making movie licensed games and stuff like that, wasn't really the best thing. But it also had its classics. One of the best classics and one of one of the all-time well-known NES games is the original DuckTales game. The original DuckTales was a masterpiece. It was incredible. The Ninja Gaiden series. Granted, you could never fucking beat those games no matter how hard you try because it's Ninja Gaiden, you know what I mean? Oh shit, that bird's coming for me. I'm just gonna back up, slice. Okay, I'm gonna jump. Bird! Just comes in and just fucking takes you out and knocks you down a fucking cliff. And that stun hit, you're just stunned and you just stay there and you fall down a little fucking cliff because that's what Ninja Gaiden does to you. It just fucks you every way. But it was still a fun, fantastic game. The 3 Ninja Turtles games we got, as much as people do not like the first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle game on the NES, I fucking love that thing. From its box art design to playing as all the different turtles. Granted, the game was a lot like Ninja Gaiden. You step off screen, go back, and the enemies are coming right back at you. But I love that game, and I got really far in that game, further than I ever thought I could in that series. But alas, it is a really hard game to beat. The second one, the arcade one, that was a blast to play, and the Manhattan Project was pretty good. I'd still say I like the first one the best, but I like that 2 and 3 had these amazing, you had co-op, which was great. And we can't forget another franchise that began with Nintendo, Mega Man. Capcom blew up, think of all those Mega Man games that came out. Fan-fucking-tastic games. I fucking love every single one of those Mega Man games that come out. You can get the Legacy Collection now, but just being there from the beginning and playing those games, fantastic. Awesome work. Loved it. I thought it was great in Street Fighter Assassin's Fist when Ken and Ryu were playing, I think it was Mega Man 2 they were playing on the NES because of, given what era that the time was set in. And, like I said, there's just so many, amazing games. Mario Brothers 3, love that. Dr. Mario, love that, even though it's, obviously a Tetris rip-off, but it was still its own game. And Tetris itself was one of the best games on the NES to play back in the day. I mean, my uncle used to play it only on his Game Boy, but the NES version of that was fantastic. I'm trying to think of some other games. We got Donkey Kong, Crystals, Bionic Commando, Battletoads. We all know how we all feel about Battletoads, but, just so many games. The Double Dragon franchise, and one of my favorite games of all time, right down here. Little Nemo, the Dream Master. Capcom game. Pretty much, it's Mega Man wearing pajamas. That's pretty much what it is. He throws candy at animals and jumps on them or inside them, and he gets their abilities. And it pretty much is. It's pretty much Mega Man. But the game is hard as shit, okay? First couple of levels, they start off pretty slow. Not that they're easy, but they start off slow, and then the later ones just get fucking ridiculous. But I've always loved Little Nemo and everything. I never saw the actual movie that they had of this. I never knew it was a movie up until about, I think 10, 15 years ago. But, you know, the system was an amazing thing. It really helped me as an artist when I was younger. You know, really just get out there and try different things, like see all the characters that I saw in these things to make my own. You know, it was really something. The Mario games were always fantastic. The Mega Man games were legendary. I mean, even games like the original Final Fantasy, everything, seeing that on there was like kind of like mind-blowing at the time. You get Metal Gear on there too, a franchise that, well, it kind of just concluded, although I'm pretty sure Konami's gonna milk the fuck out of that. But that was the thing about Nintendo. Not only did Nintendo themselves make good games, there are other companies out there like Konami and Capcom, some of the biggest fucking names, that we know now. But back in the day, they put out amazing titles that were all on the NES. There were a lot of Konami games that were great. There was a lot of Capcom games that were great. Another company of mine that I really love that nobody ever talks about is Data East. Love the games that they've put out. Fantastic games. I actually have a couple of Data East games here, I believe. I think I also have like the collection on Xbox. I think there was like a Data East collection on Xbox down here somewhere. Regardless though, fucking loved the living hell out of all the NES games I played, even like the bad ones. Like, you still found something as a kid of how great they were. Duck Hunt was amazing, as much as like the blaster didn't work as much. I just remember I was sitting there in my cousin's living room, and we hear the ducks and everything like that. You know, like we moved the system out from as further as we could with the TV. We built up the bean bags. We're hiding underneath, and when we heard like the duck noise, we pop up and shoot and try to get it as fast as we can. Hogan's Alley, another great shooting game. That game's fucking phenomenal. I love that game more than I love Duck Hunt and the skeet shooting with Duck Hunt. Which, you know, you can get Duck Hunt on the NES now, the Wii U, which actually turned out to be really fun. I really enjoyed that, and it seemed to work better than the original. But Nintendo gave way to so much. It was a console that came out, and then it made the Super Nintendo. And if it wasn't for the NES making the Super Nintendo, we never would have got, like, Sega would have been like, hey, like, you know, we're gonna make our own system, everything. And I think we owe kind of a lot to what Nintendo does, because all these other companies were trying to make their own systems, to make their own games, to make their own money and everything, you know? Like, as much as Sega kind of always felt like it was behind for some people, a lot of people felt that Sega was always behind Nintendo no matter what they did. They had games on there that were fantastic, and I think it was the motivation to beat the competition, like beat Nintendo, that we got systems like the Sega Genesis and, you know, the Sega CD, Sega Saturn, Dreamcast. You know, I think that's what it was, you know, because Nintendo, you know, we went on for like NES to Super NES, the N64, the GameCube, Wii U, all this amazing stuff, and I really have to think that back then, what the NES accomplished changed the gaming world in a lot of ways, you know? I mean, we all have fond memories, whether it's blowing into the cartridges to get them to work or anything like that, you know, or, you know, playing Duck Hunt, or all the hours that we spent in front of this thing. This little gray box that brought so much childhood happiness to so many people. You know, it really is an amazing game. I mean, you know, like a system. I love the controllers on it. I loved all the various different games we were able to play on it. It's a system that truly means a lot to me. I don't know where I would place it in like my top 5 or top 10 systems if I ever did a video like that, because the NES is just, it offered so much. Maybe it would probably make the top 5, if not, you know, like, be in there somewhere. But again, I think if the NES didn't do what it was doing at the time of its release, I don't think we would have. I think the gaming world would be a lot different of a place. Regardless, though, yeah, that's what I think on the NES. I'm glad that, you know, I'm still alive to see its 30th anniversary and everything. You know, despite the fact that obviously the games have not been being made for the system anymore. But just to think, like, you know, all the stuff that I've collected, anything NES-wise, you know, and all the other great, fantastic games that have come along with it. The ones that I didn't get a chance to get as a kid. You know, it's just, To me, it's truly an amazing, really amazing system. Now, do any of you feel like that? Is there anybody else out there that feels that the NES was a great system? I'm sure it was many of your first systems. If it wasn't, what was your first system? And did you ever own an NES? Did you have to go to a friend's or a cousin's house to play it? You know, like, do you all have fond memories of trying to hook it to the TV in the back? Because that shit was a pain in the ass compared to what it is today. So let me know. Write down in the comments below, because I'd love to know everybody's story, because this is a big thing. You know, the NES turns 30. And people are still loving it, and they're still making things, systems out there that play them for our HD TVs, because these things are so amazing, and the fact that for some reason Nintendo just won't take advantage of the fucking virtual console and everything. I don't understand why they do nothing with the virtual console. You own these titles, for crying out loud, like, well, at least most of them, anything. Why are you charging so much for the ones that are out? You could charge $1 and still be making money. You don't have to do anything. It's pretty much just pure emulation on your part. Regardless though, 30 years of fantastic games and memories. Technically 28 for me. But regardless, you know, it's a great system, I love it, and if you don't love it, I actually don't think I've run into anybody who's hated an NES. But hey, there's always a first for something, you know? So, you know, please like and subscribe, because it's free in this day and age. Free's a damn good thing, and it would mean a great deal to me for people leaving me feedback and, you know, subscribing to the channel, because just talking with people, meeting all these people that I do through YouTube, you know, it does mean a lot. So as always, thank you everybody for watching. I'm One Big Boss, and I will see you all next time.